I think a few more people may be arriving. So I'm Associate Professor Kirsten Ellis. I work at Monash University. This week, I'm acting head of the Human-Centered Computing Department. Luckily, I haven't been asked to do too many things in that capacity. And today we're here, I want to show you what TapeBlocks are. So TapeBlocks is something that I came up with and really want to share it with people because I think it really adds a dimension of accessibility to circuit making for everyone. Okay, forwards and backwards. Okay, so first I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country. Monash University recognises that its Australian campuses are located on the unceded lands of the people of the Kulin Nations and pays its respects to their elders past, present and emerging. So today what I'm going to try to do is introduce TapeBlocks to you and then show you some different, I guess, the concept of accessibility. Now, I very much want to thank you for coming. Thank you for taking the time. I know a lot of you would have been teaching after a big day to come, and join an event. Thank you for taking the time. I live in absolute admiration of teachers. So important to the community. The work that you do is amazing. The patience you have is amazing. The dedication you have is amazing. Am I suitably awed? So thank you for coming. You are the experts in the people that you teach. So I don't know who it is that you are teaching. So I am going to give you an idea, a method, an idea, some concepts. And I bow to your experience and your knowledge of the people that you work with in terms of adapting them, using the concepts that work and not using the concept that aren't appropriate for your particular students, because each group is going to be different, etc. So there's a few things. Can you please fill in, there's a survey that we sent out. Can you please fill that in, even as you're sitting listening now? It's just to see what you know about circuits before we start this session, because we want to be able to compare how you feel, how confident you feel about circuit making before the workshop and then after the workshop. And then we'll contact you in a few months' time and see if you've actually used TapeBlocks and if you found how you found it with your students. I'm a researcher, so it's part of my gig. It's part of the thing that I'm meant to do to keep my job is publish, but it's bigger than that. It's actually being able to let people know what it is that we find out by doing these workshops, and any suggestions that you have. It also gives me directions for the future as to what sorts of things you'd like me to work on. So I make tools and technologies to make things accessible. And I work with lots of different groups. And if you'd like to collaborate, I'm more than happy to, have discussions with people. I want to build your confidence in circuit making, whether you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, we will go from scratch. If you are experienced in circuit making, I'm going to annoy you and I'm going to blow you away, but hopefully I will inspire you and motivate you. I don't want circuits to be something that's like, we have to teach this. I want it to be circuits is the best thing that we teach in the entire year. In fact, every year. Okay, so I want circuits to go from being something that's like, I'm not sure about it, we kind of have to do it, so I do it, to circuits, I just want to incorporate them into every single class that we do. There are never enough LEDs in the world. All right, so we'll make a start. Next page. Okay. The origin story of TapeBlocks is that in 2019, I was a superstar of STEM, which is trying to get more women out into the community, doing media presentations, inspiring other girls to participate in STEM. And for National Science Week, I wanted to develop an activity or an event for people with disabilities so that they could fully participate. Because when I had a look at the activities that were available, there were lots of activities available, but there was none that were targeting people with different types of disabilities. And where they were at the centre, I wanted to ask people onto the university campus that are often excluded from the university, and especially excluded from the university unless they're like a research participant. I just wanted to invite them on as a welcome member of the community, or welcome members of the community. And so I put in a grant, and I got the grant, which was awesome. And then I went, oops, now I actually have to design these activities. Which is always the way, but that's the way we should go about things, because that way we actually push things forward, in my humble opinion. Some of the best ideas I've had have been because of working towards a particular goal. So I tried lots of different things. I failed a whole lot trying to get these TapeBlocks up and working. And eventually I came up with these TapeBlocks, and which is what I'm going to show you today. And then I went, these are actually really good. I don't want them to sit in an academic paper. I want to get them out into the community where they can make a difference in the world. So where they can make a difference to people who will actually find them useful. Someone's got their hand up. Is that a question?
Sean, I can notice you've got your hand up. Is there a question you wanted to ask? You can also type into chat as well. I will be paying attention to the chat as we go.
I think Sean may need to be spotlit for Nick to see.
Spotlight, I can do that. There we go. Perfect.
Hello, my name's Sean. And look, I'm a deaf man naturally. I've got a few activities on the go here, and there's a lot of people on the screen. It's quite difficult to follow things. So I'm just wondering, I'm ensuring, Kirsten, that you've pinned both interpreters, so when they do swap, I can see them both. Is that correct?
Josh is nodding at me. Yes. And the interpreters are turning their cameras on and off, I believe. So they should come up when their cameras are on.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for that.
All right. And Sean, if you have any issues, Josh is actually monitoring the chat. So you can also throw something into the chat in the background to make sure that interpreters are visible to you. So there's the way we hope it works, and then there's the way it works in reality. So please let us know if it is working. Okay. So I was just saying, I created TapeBlocks. I have written an academic paper on TapeBlocks. I have 20 citations, which means 20 people have read it. Yay. I have got YouTube videos where I have 13,000 views combined on the tutorials on how to use them. So guess what? My audience is not in academia. My audience is out in the world watching YouTube. I'm thinking it's teachers trying to get new materials on how to teach their students, and people who are just interested, etc. I work with a whole range of people with different disabilities, and every time I think I've got, yep, this is going to be the final set of TapeBlocks, it's like there's another group where I have to tweak that accessibility just a little bit in order for it to be accessible for them. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually put this in context for those who have not seen TapeBlocks before. So what I'm going to do is actually show you some TapeBlocks working. If I can get my power bank to work, of course. Yes. Okay. All right. So I might move that just to make it a bit clearer on the screen. So I'm hoping that everyone has actually received their TapeBlock kit. these were sponsored by Google, so I'd like to thank them for sponsoring the workshops so that we could actually get the materials to you, because I think it's a very different experience if you actually are making along as opposed to just, watching. Not nearly as powerful. So hopefully you'll have a few aha experiences along the way. All right, but I will put this off to the side so there's less visual clutter. Okay, this is a power bank. Now I hope that all of you have got power bank, scissors, and potentially glue. I've got glue dots and I have a glue gun as well. So hopefully you've got those with you. If not, hopefully you can find them. Now you can either use some sort of little power bank, you can use a plug directly into the wall, and it's just a standard USB connection like you would plug your phone in, okay? All right, so let's plug it in and see how we go. Move those things out the way. Okay, so the USB just plugs straight in. It always goes in the third way over. You put it one way, it doesn't work. You put it the next way, it doesn't work. You put it the next way, it still doesn't work. Okay. All right. So this is a set that I have made previously. This is what we're going to do during today's session is actually make these blocks. I've got them already made so I can demonstrate them to you. So I have my USB, which is a buck converter. That's what it's called, plugged in, and I'm crossing my fingers that this will work. Ta-da! That's making a circuit. That's it. That'll set it up right. And with TapeBlocks, that's all you actually need to do is actually push them together. That means that people with cerebral palsy can actually make those circuits with the back of their hands on a tray, the simplest circuit to make. Now, the really clever thing about these is if we spin that around, what's going to happen? Let's have a look. Yay. Okay, so this is the circuit that I first started with people with intellectual disabilities with physical disabilities, because if you have cerebral palsy and you spend a lot of effort getting these to actually line up, you want to have a positive experience. So whether they're that way or that way, it's going to work. Now, in your kit, we'll make some of each of these later, but in your kit, you'll actually see that there's lots of different types of LEDs. So don't shake the kit around or you won't be able to tell which are which. They are actually labeled. So these are red, blue, which is the one that's green. Is that green, yellow? That might be green, something else. Green, red. So that's a different one to what's even in these kits. So this is blue, red, yellow, green. These are a different one. Do we want to see what they are? Yeah. Okay. I'm hoping this is one of these. But maybe not. Oh. That's a broken one. We don't get many of those. That's embarrassing. I'm not going to show you. Okay, we'll make this, okay, because I haven't got one sitting here. We will actually make one of these. I'm going. Yeah, okay. We'll make one of those and get them going shortly. All right, so the light one was the first. So that's a bi-coloured LED. So a two-colour LED. They're actually made so that they work either negatively or positively, and they give you different colours depending which direction they are. That's the first one we use. Me being who I am, you'll get to know me a little bit by the end of the session. We have lots of things sitting around the makerspace. I wonder what happens if I put in a vibration motor. Okay, so if I put in a vibration motor, you might have to. Can you hear? Does it sound like a buzzy bee? Okay, you're going to have to take my word on it if you can't hear it. Okay, take my word on it, but we will make one, I promise, before the end of the session so you can feel it. They are incredibly useful when blind people are making them. So I've had 20 blind children making tape blocks from scratch because they can feel when they've made the circuit correctly. So the blocks just involve tape and the block and the components. And so blind children can make the vibration motor from scratch and be able to feel when they've made it correctly. The next one I'm going to show you is fan, because they're cool. And the first fan I had was like this big. It was huge. It was about, I don't know, like 2.5 centimeters around. And now I'm down to these like, I don't know, 5 millimeter ones. It's amazing. And they're pretty fun. Again, you can hear and you can feel the wind coming off as well. There we go. Okay. Oh, thank you, Josh. So when it's stopped, it looks a lot like a snowflake. And when it's going, it spins. Now, what do you reckon happens if we turn it the other direction? All right. Have a think. Have a think about what might happen. Okay. It spins the other direction. And can I just say the wind actually changes where it comes from. Now, I actually 3D print these because it's much cheaper than actually buying fans. Like I can print them for cents, where it's a couple of dollars per fan to actually buy them. To do that, they have a little tiny shaft on them. And all I do is I get the printer and you print them at all different sizes. This one is a 0.58 shaft. To get that to print, I have to print a 1.5 hole. So all I do is print holes at lots of different sizes and eventually I find one that fits. All right, next. This one here goes between, okay, Josh is going to help me out here on it. So this one here goes between and the fan's not working. Is it going to work? Of course not, because these things never work when you do live demonstrations. Where's my light? Let's just check. Okay. I didn't make these very well yesterday. Okay, what's I think is happening is my power bank is turning itself on and off. So I'm just having to pull a plug in and out just to keep the power bank going. Okay. All right. So if we turn it, I hate live demos. Oh no, what's wrong? Why isn't it working? Okay. There it is. If we shake it, it comes on. So it's a matter of, let's see if we can get it. I'm going, okay, so I actually go through a troubleshooting process, which is, are the wires here connected really firmly? Is the ball in here actually sounds like it's stuck? I should be hearing it like clunk, 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 and it's not. It sounds a lot like it. And you can normally feel it too. So I don't think that ball is moving as it should. I will look in my magic box. I'm going. If all else fails, shake vigorously. Right. Josh has run away. What are you checking, Josh? Hang on. That works. All right. Okay, sometimes electronic components don't work. I can tell you this one worked yesterday. So what do? Try making another one. It's fine. Actually, I'm going to make a button. So what I'm going to do is quickly make, let's make we'll just make a new block. Okay, so this was working yesterday. Something's gone wrong. Oh no, what do? Make a new one. Solved. I'm not expecting you to follow how I'm actually making this. I'm just doing it where you can see so that I entertain you as we make, as we fix our circuit. Okay, There are only a few things that can go wrong, but I can hear that that one is not actually working. So hopefully. Nothing like fixing things on the fly. Okay. It works that way, doesn't work that way. See, that's how they're meant to work. Okay, we'll just rewind back a couple of seconds. So when we've got it tilted this direction, there's a little ball in there and it falls to the end and you have no connection. When you tip it this direction, it works because the ball, so it's called a ball tilt switch. I personally like using mercury tilt switches, but schools don't tend to like that very much. And the reason I like the mercury tilt switch is because I can actually see the mercury moving in and out, which is kind of nice, but not necessarily environmentally friendly, etc. Okay, so that kit is basically the TapeBlock set. I have one extra one with me, which I will show you just because it's kind of cool. Basically, anything that has two wires or two legs can be connected to a TapeBlock. And this one here is a voltmeter. Which way is the right way around? Is that way around? Okay. These are great because you can check your power. And basically anything that has two wires can be connected. If it's 3 volt and 2 wires, then you can connect it. And what we're now going to do is make a few for ourselves. All right. I want to get your hands on, then I'll go back through some accessibility kind of, rules and regs or suggestions or whatever, but I'd love to get you actually making some TapeBlocks. All right. So the first TapeBlock that we're going to, okay, the first thing you need to know is this is your kit. Let's do an unboxing. I always like these. Okay. I'm always very excited by them. All right. So in your box, you have, this is a box of LEDs. It's like a creative circuit kit. You can't buy these anywhere. Everyone sells really, really, really boring LEDs. So they sell you like a red one, a yellow one, a blue one, a green one. They're boring. These are the color change ones. So red or blue, depending on the direction. Color change. Red and blue flashing, which was requested by my neighbour's child who wanted to make police cars with little red and blue flashing lights. And yellow candle flicker ones. Okay. The reason I like these is because they're really creative in terms of the types of things that you can then make with the LEDs. In the center, I'll also point these out because it'll help later. We have here is a vibration motor. It's like a little pancake. It's actually the same as what you have in your phone, your mobile phone when it vibrates on the table. That's using this type. It's called a pancake or a coin vibration motor. The next thing up, that one, this is a locking button. Okay, so if I get even closer, I lose focus. So you'll be able to see the one in your kit because hopefully all your kits have arrived.
Focus, come on camera, don't prove me wrong.
Yay. Okay, the red on the top, it's a locking button. So what it does is you press the button, it turns it on, you press the button, it turns it on, and it kind of releases it, a lot like a torch. So that's a torch style button, and it's called a locking button. These were the tilt switches, the one that actually played up before. So that has a ball in it. And if you shake these, you can feel it going clunk, 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 and you can hear it as well, potentially. All right. So, and in the top one, I was talking about those little motors. So there's 2 little motors. Now, why have you got 2 of each of those components? Because some of the time electronic components don't work. If they don't work, don't stress, make another one would be my suggestion. There are certain number of times that you just get things, and because they're really fine and delicate, they've been pressed too hard or something like that, and they won't work. Don't sweat it. Just use another one would be my advice. At home, I just have boxes of these things, so I just like throw one, grab the next one. The other things we have are a little red flower, which we'll use later, and our little snowflake fan. As well as that, so that's that. This is the buck converter. Now you'll see the buck converter here. What a buck converter does, buck, B-U-C-K, B-U-C-K, which we might like to, what's the other, a step down converter for those who don't think that using the word buck is going to work in a primary school. Okay, so what this does is it takes the 5 volt that you would charge your phone with, and it converts it to 3 volt, which is what we want to use for the components that we've got. And that's actually really handy. Previously, when I was using TapeBlocks, you'll see a lot of the stuff on the website has button cell batteries, and button cell batteries are evil because they're bad for the environment and kids can swallow them. So it took me absolutely ages to find a viable alternative, and the buck converter seems to be the best version. Now, these have alligator clips. We'll have a discussion in a minute when we make our power block. This is the secret sauce. Okay. Rustle, rustle, rustle. This is conductive tape. I would love everyone to grab their conductive tape out right now and try to find the end of it. This is the hardest thing that we will do during the entire event. Okay, you need to separate the silver from the white, and it's hard. It's hard even for me, and I have done, I don't know, several hundred rolls of it. Yeah, I actually ran out of tape, the long rolls of tape. I have just used 500 of them. Okay, now I got it free. Yay! Okay. The one thing that's going to make all the difference to your TapeBlock experience is cut the silver, not the white. Okay, cut the silver, and you can restart the tape as many times as you like with never have to find the end of it again. If you cut the silver and the white together, which is what I did on the first workshop that I ran, we cut them into the right size pieces. The 2 adults that were sitting there with 1 child spent the rest of the afternoon trying to separate the tape. It was horrible. Okay, so this is the one thing that you need to know when using this tape. For those who like the technical details, it's a nickel copper fabric tape. Okay, it is so much better than copper tape, and the fabric is conductive and the glue is conductive as well. So you can actually put things on top or underneath the tape and it'll conduct electricity either way. That's super important. Now, the other thing you need to know, so we've all hopefully managed to start our tape now, but I'll keep talking as you try to work out how to start your tape if you haven't already. I will tell them about it in a sec. Yeah. And the other thing we'll do is, what you can do is you fold back the white, you stick the tape down, and you can find the end of it and it holds it in place. All right. Again, the most useful pieces of information you've now received, you can leave if you want to. Okay. And the reason is because having, you know, neat tape that you doesn't get tangled and stuff, and that you can restart really easily is going to make your classes just so much smoother, and your making of TapeBlocks better. This blue block, so we have 1 block in your kit. It'll be towards the end that has an odd shaped block if there's anyone blind. So on the right-hand end, there's one blue block and it has a hole in it. Don't use that for anything other than the motor. Okay, so it has a hole in it. We need to pop the motor in there. So that is the block that we need to reserve for that. And then we have some sheets of EVA foam. This is just for decorating stuff. And these, what I have in my hand currently is a long tail LED. So it's got an LED on it and then it's got a resistor and a couple of long wires. And I'll show you some examples of the things that you can do with that. A little bit separate to TapeBlocks, but I just thought really useful tool for realizing how awesome LEDs are and how many things you can put them into. So I thought I'd send a few home for you so you can try them out and have some ideas. All right. I think we are, so if it just, folks come back to me for a moment, I'll just say accessibility is about how we design the tools. So traditionally, it's very difficult for a number of people to use breadboards or soldering or in classrooms to make circuits. Using TapeBlocks, we're using the affordance of big chunky blocks to make them. As a teacher, they're great because if you use the color coding, what you can do is you can actually sit at the front of the classroom. If you get all the students to make them in the same colors, you can sit at the front of the classroom and you can troubleshoot from there, because if someone picks up 2 green blocks, it's never going to work because they haven't got any power. Other than that, you don't actually need to use the color coding. It's really, I was very against it. I was like, if someone likes blue, they can make them all in blue, but it is helpful when you're actually learning to be able to use the color coding sort of as a shorthand and being able to see at a distance when people are making a mistake. The other thing we use is differential repetition. So what we'll do today is if you learn the basic TapeBlock technique, it then repeats multiple times because each TapeBlock is pretty much constructed the same way. All right. What we are going to do today is we're going to open one breakout room. And in that one breakout room, if you are struggling and cannot work out what you have done wrong with your circuit, you can jump into that breakout room on your own. You can just, I believe is the way it'll work is you can just go there, and I've got my PhD student Maduka in there who will help you. They will go, hey, just do this or do that, or you've got it the wrong direction, or press the bit down and see if it works. So they will help you to troubleshoot, because there's nothing worse than like, if I don't make the power block, nothing else is going to work. All right. So we don't want that to happen online. And I can only see like 1 or 2 of you. So if you're having trouble, hop into the breakout room and hopefully.
It's live, it's open.
Okay. So there is a breakout room open if you want to move into it to troubleshoot, and then you can bring yourself back as well. Okay. So we will start with our first power block. All right. So to make a power block, we need, and if you miss any of the instructions, there are videos online. So if in like 3 days time you can't remember, it's fine. There are videos online. You can go back and have another look. We have our buck converter. We need scissors. We need tape. The tape that we hopefully already started. Okay. If you have a watch, and then I'll give you a moment to make one as well. All right. So what we do is we run 2 strips of conductive tape. I mean, you've potentially seen what they look like. Let's run 2 pieces of conductive tape all the way around the block. There are shorthands for doing it. What I'm going to do is the long form to hopefully make it as visible as possible. So when we're making them, we make them so that the 2 pieces of tape run parallel around the short side of the block, about 1 centimetre apart or evenly from the ends. Tape's not sticking very well. And make sure there's a gap between each. So the tape runs all the way around the block, and there is a gap between the two pieces of tape. If you don't have a gap, what you'll find is that it'll short circuit, it won't work. So one of these is actually going to be your negative line, one of them is going to be your positive line. Right. There are different ways of connecting to the buck converter, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ones. So one option is to make some sort of flap or tab, which there are lots of different ways of doing it. But as long as you have some sort of flap that hangs off, see, this is, okay, stay there. Okay, is that, okay, and if I actually move that stuff out the way, there we go. All right, so you can see there's a flap that hangs off the side of one of those.
Just give me a second.
We'll just do, so if you all want to do that, well, Josh is just changing the battery in the camera. Okay, so if you could make that this one block with a strip of tape and make one flap hang off, and even put the second flap hanging off as well. So if we all get to that point, that would be great. And again, I am cutting the silver, and I am never, ever, ever going to cut that white tape. And the great thing about cutting the silver and not the white is that when you go to clean up, you have one really, really, really long spiral of white that you pick up as one big lot. Makes it easy. Okay. So I can make this here. So I'm just making my second flap exactly the same way as I made my first. Okay, so we have the, I can even put that there again. So we have two flaps. One flap is coming off each of the blocks. All right. And I'll give people a second to get up to that point. Okay, and we have our camera back online. Josh, can I ask you, can you see people, or can you see, what can you see? Chat, or can you, if people did a thumbs up, would you be able to see?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. When you've finished, can you do a thumbs up? So when you've got to that point, can you do a thumbs up through the reactions or through the videos? And Josh will give me a...
And a couple through videos, yep. 5+ videos. Putting them up to camera as well.
Awesome. Okay, so is there anyone who wants me to wait a little bit longer? How are we going? Can you...
Could you say how to do the flap again?
Yes. I will take this flap off. Okay, so when we do the flap, it doesn't matter how you end up with the flap. There's lots of different ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put here, I'm going to put a piece of tape all the way around the block, all the way. I am going entirely around the block, and then I'm going to leave one piece really long. There we go. So I've got all the way around the block, and then all I do is fold the end of the flap back on itself. That is another way of making a flap, if that's any easier. So that one I did basically all the way around, and all you do is fold the end of the tape and you end up with a flap. So you fold the two pieces of sticky stuff back on itself. And if you're going, this is fiddly, I'm going to give you an alternative way of doing it in a second. Okay, this is the way, because I want you to have two alternatives. All right. And you can then choose which is the most appropriate for you to use with your students. Okay. What I will now do is plug that in. And the way we do that is we connect one banana plug to each of the flaps. So if I hold it that direction, that direction, that direction, hopefully you can see the way that they are connected. I'm not a huge fan of the flaps, but the reason I showed you at first is if you don't want to cut the alligator clips off, you've already got one made. Okay. I prefer to do it like we had with the other one that I was using previously, where we don't have, this one, I've just cut the alligator clips off, strip the wire and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. This is an alternative, but it means that if you want to use this cord, that because you've only got one cord that I've sent you, it means that you can leave that together today if you want to, and then you can make a choice as to which way you want to do it. All right. So while I let people finish that, I'm going to actually make another of these to show you how to make one with the, okay. I'm going to make another one to show you how to do it if you're cutting a cord off. Okay, I was just finding another cable. You can use, all right, these are wire strippers. If you're going to get wire strippers, these are the type that I would suggest in terms of them being much easier to use. You can use a pair of scissors and strip the wires. On one of the videos, I've done that just to prove that it is possible. But this is definitely much easier to strip the wires or to get rid of the alligator clips. Okay, done. They're gone. They get thrown away now. The reason I don't like these is because they're quite hard. It takes quite a lot of manual dexterity to actually be able to open and close the alligator clips. They're a pinch point, apparently, for all sorts of things for children, for fingers, but also for earlobes and various other things. So it's up to you what you choose to use. The other thing you can use is something like a peg and just wrap the peg in conductive tape, and that makes it nice and big for kids to be able to hold on to. So whatever is going to work for you. I am not a huge fan of alligator clips, so I am offering you an alternative. There are, I think, 4 or 5 different types of tape blocks available, like ways of making the power block available on the website. And that's on purpose because which one is going to work for you. So to strip the wires, all I do is pop it in there and done. You can see it's pretty easy. So a good pair of wire strippers is worth having if you're doing a bit of electronic stuff. Now I'm going to see the good thing about this. This is the concept of differential repetition. So I'm going to make another tape block, exactly the same process, but slightly different. And this is what we'll be doing today, is the same thing, sort of multiple times with a little bit of difference each time, which means hopefully learn and remember it. Okay, so 2 pieces of conductive tape all the way around the block. This time I'm leaving the ends long and then cutting, again, still cutting the silver, never ever cut the white. And I'm going to keep saying that because it really is super, makes a difference to the experience. I'm then going to, I've got those 2 flaps up. I put the wire down. So I put the red wire underneath one of the flaps and I'll put the black wire underneath the other flap. If you're working with blind people or blind children, it's impossible for them to actually see that the wire is coated in plastic and it's only the end that's conductive. So you actually have to explicitly tell them. Okay. And for everyone, if you put just the wire under, and the red is under the flap, it's not going to conduct because your metal's not under the flap. So we're going to do that. We're going to put the metal under the flap, so the end, and press it down. And the same with the black wire. So we make sure that the very end, which is the conductive pit, so we want the conductive pit underneath the flap. And there's the two alternative power ones. This is the other reason I don't like the flaps particularly. This way, if you're going to do the flaps, leaving it long and then folding it back probably is a little bit more stable. It's just they can rip off. Having said that, look, they are not super robust. I have different versions. So depending on the children that you're working with, we can change that. Okay, we've got 2 power blocks, but it's never going to work because if I've got 2 red blocks, and this is was my comment on the color coding, if I have 2 red blocks, they're never going to work because power needs to light something up. So we're going to make a light block next. Now, you are welcome to grab any one of these out. I am going to grab one of these. Grab whichever one you would like to make. Okay. What we do, LEDs, just for your information, have a long leg and a short leg. Can everyone see that? So if you hold it up, they have a long leg and a short leg. The long leg is the positive side. The short leg is the negative side. Sometimes you need to know that. Sometimes it doesn't matter very much. What we're going to do is we're actually going to push the legs apart so that they sit completely flat. Now, don't worry about, and I'm like, let me get closer on this one because I really want people to get that bit right. So it should sit completely and utterly flat, right? If you leave it, I'll just show you. So this is a fault I found, or not a fault, but an experiment that I think could be problematic yesterday. Someone was doing it like that yesterday. Going, okay. And you can see it would be possible for the 2 pieces of wire to touch each other. We want to do everything we possibly can to stop the negative and positive wires touching each other when they're not meant to. All right. So if we make it so that the legs are quite robust, so you can do this. You can do it multiple times actually. Okay. So you can wiggle them a bit and they won't fall off generally. Okay. Some work better than others. In your kit are ones that I've had previously and wiggled lots and they haven't fallen off. So you can definitely do it without breaking them. Okay. So back to our differential repetition. We're going to make tape block again. This is a light tape block. The way we do it is by making 2 lines, conductive tape all the way around. This one I'm going to, again, leave it long. So leave a flap of tape long and hang it back. Okay. So you'll see that's just floating around in space. We put our second line of conductive tape around. Leave it long. Cut the silver, not the white. I'm a mum. I'm good at nagging. Okay. And then we take that LED that we prepared earlier that has the legs flattened out, an LED doing the splits. We pop it down so that one leg is under each piece of tape and we put the tape over the top of the wire. So that's the light block prepared. And I'm going to grab my I'm going to grab this one because I really do prefer to work with them with the wire. Okay, I'm going to plug it in and we're going to cross our fingers. Yes, it works. Yay. Okay. And up or further forward?
Further forward.
Further.
But up, so
Hold on. Further back towards me, not further forwards. I'm going the wrong direction. That's why it disappeared. Okay. This is a color change LED. This is a fast flashing one, and they are so cool compared to the really boring red and blue and yellow ones that they normally give you. Okay. And it changes through. Have an explore of all the different LEDs in your kit. If I turn this LED the other direction, it does not work. Okay, so if I've made my block and I put it against and it doesn't work, the first thing I do to troubleshoot is turn it the other direction. Some LEDs only work, they only have one direction. So they're which is the way most LEDs would be made. They're unipolar or only single polarity. That one that we had before that worked, was that one? Yeah. This one is a bipolar LED, and they're a little bit special because they're built that way. So they're actually made that way. But the majority of LEDs only work one direction. So if your LED is not working, check one direction, check the other direction until it works. Again, if I was doing this and it wasn't working, I'd be pulling my buck converter out and putting it back in to check that it's got power. I'd be pushing down the ends of the silver and making sure that everything's touching really well. Because if you don't get a good connection, it won't work. What else goes wrong? Your two pieces of tape might be touching at the back. If you haven't got a really clean cut, sometimes you have some fragments that might be, I don't know, messy and touching. So anywhere that the positive and negative touch each other when they're not meant to, it'll stop the circuit from working. All right. I'm now going to go, Josh, how many people, anyone who's made an LED and it's working, can you hold it up to the screen, please?
Say a bunch of people holding up working LEDs on the screen.
Yay, that means you've made two working tape blocks, haven't you? Because you've made a power tape block and you've made a light tape block. Yay. Awesome. Good job. How many people need more time, I guess, is the question. You now have the technique, all right? There's one more thing that I'm just going to point out. The reason that I'm leaving those flaps long, I'll show you how to make a vibration motor as the next one. Let me go vibration motor. In my kit. Remember that thing that looked like a little tiny coin with a couple of wires off? That's a vibration motor. Okay. I'm getting mess all around me. I'm really good at this. I'll try to keep it as clear as I can. And you can see my mess of white. It's all one bit, which makes it really easy to clean up. I'm going to actually rip some of that off just to try to keep the video as clear as I can. Okay, I'm going to make a vibration one because I want you all to make a vibration one too, because then you'll know that it actually does work, because I think some of you weren't convinced before. And also, sometimes vibration motors are really good, obviously, for working with blind children, but for kids with autism, they often don't like that bright light. They love the vibration motors. Has been my experience, but please let me know if yours is different to that. The thing you need to know with the vibration motor is it actually has a sticker on the back that you need to peel off. Blind kids can't feel that. They need to be explicitly told. So you can feel the flap, you peel that off, you pop it in the center of the block. We then put our two pieces of tape all the way around. Okay, and what I'm going to do this time is actually make it so that I just have 2 pieces of tape all the way around and the wires for the vibration motor are hanging off. This is like one of those cook at home shows, you know, here, follow along. And here's one I prepared earlier. Okay, with this vibration motor, to make it easier for people to make, what you can do is you can put the wires around and then cut a small piece of tape and stick it on top to put the end of the wire down. Okay, so the tape doesn't care if it's 1 piece or if it's 30 pieces. As long as the pieces are touching each other, it only sees it as one connection. So if you put your tape around and it wasn't quite long enough, you can just stick a second piece over the top. So I've got a tiny piece of tape, or small piece of tape. I put my red wire and I just need to tape the very end because that's the only bit that is conductive. I'll just let that focus and pop that there. When I'm working with blind kids, I'll often use conductive dots, which are basically like little stickers, and that can be a little bit easier than cutting very small pieces of tape. Okay, so I am hoping that this vibration motor then works. It does. Now, I'm hoping you all have one and you can feel that the vibration motors are very cool. Okay, so you are building. This is called a meta kit. It's a kit that builds, like, you use the tools to build the kit for yourself and then you can use the kit. Now, if you are working with children who have or adults who don't have particularly good manual dexterity, you'd give them the pre-made tape blocks. For some kids, blind kids, it's good to give them an example because they can actually feel what it's like. For kids with intellectual disabilities, you can actually give them the blocks so that they can see and they have a mental model of what it is that they're trying to make, and then they can make them. So you just break it down into small steps of making them and perhaps separating out into the 2 steps of make the tape all the way around, then put the component down afterwards. Whatever works, okay? You've now got the technique and there's a whole lot of different things that you can do from there. Before we go further, okay, one that I actually forgot to do yesterday, that if you're working in a classroom, that I would like you to know is, if you're working in a classroom and you're going, oh, it's all a bit fiddly, one option is, that was a bit silly. If I stick it this direction. Okay, I'm sticking the table to the table. And I'm folding that flap like we did to give me something to connect to. And then I'm going to put a second piece of tape on the table. And of course, you could put it on a reusable mat or something like that if you wanted to, about the same distance away as what it is on the table. So if you were preparing for a classroom, what you could do is you actually sit those down like so. We'll grab our buck converter with the alligator clips. Okay, so we've got our alligator clips, got our buck converter. We plug that in. And we again attach one to each of the ones attached to the table. Then, okay, so alligator clip attached to table, okay, attached to tape on table. Oh, doesn't work. So if you have like a lot of kids and you only want to buy one buck converter, because that's probably one of the more expensive components, you could actually have multiple kids working on the same connection. And I'm going, how many of these can you put on one? I don't know. Try it. So it's very much discovery based. It's like, how many LEDs can I use on this? I don't know. Try it. If you can make them in stacks as well. We haven't done stacking yet today, have we? Oh, that one works. That one works. Okay. So when we stack them, it might be easier to face the other direction. So we can actually stack them. Okay. You can actually stack the blocks on top of each other. So you challenge for your kids. How many red blocks can you stack and they still work? Because when you run out of power, when you put too many blocks on, they'll stop working. How many blue would work? How many fans could you stack before they run out of power? And there, the answer might surprise you. All right. So it's not just the blocks, it's the blocks and then what can you do with them? So I'm going to actually shut down the, can I shut down the two or the picture of me and get everyone up and go, just see, has anyone got any questions and can everyone show me their things working? Unspotlight, if you keep the interpreter up, is that? But can I see more people or am I limited?
You should be able to.
Oh, yep, I can. Beautiful. Okay, can you all hold up your circuits working, please? Awesomeness. Are we all happy? Yes? Are we all like going, yay, isn't it the coolest thing when you get your first LED going? And do you know, that excitement that you get, it doesn't matter who you are. It's like the first time your LED comes on, it's like, yes. And we want that excitement, right? If I go into a disability organisation and say, I'm going to teach you circuits, they're going to be like, yeah, why? Now, if I say, I haven't got my dragon here today. Could you grab, Josh is doing all the running around, the poor thing. Well, I owe him something, I don't know, chocolate or something. Okay, so we will see the dragon in a moment, but we'll start with there's a flower. So this is a little flower that I'd made of just Crayola air dry clay, right? And what you can do is you can actually, you can make a breadboard and actually put holes. So you run that's got 2 pieces of tape and you put holes in it. So, and I think I used like a cricket little thing, picky thing to do it. And then you can slot the LEDs into that.
Kirsten, take those. I'm going to spotlight you again.
Oh, yep. I like it when I can see everyone. I can't see everyone if I'm spotlighted, but okay. Oh, you reckon?
Yep, there you can. Perfect.
Oh, fantastic. I like being do I go later?
What does it say? Later. Yes.
Later. Okay. So this is spotlighted. So this is it's a little flower made out of the Crayola stuff. And to light it up, I should. Okay, which one's this? Okay, so it's attached to that. Doing that. Okay. So you can make flower gardens with them. You can make, so if I go in and say, do you want to do electronics? People are like, yeah, why? If we have to. If I go in and say, do you want to make, if I hold it still, would that help?
Yes, definitely would help.
Would you like to make a dragon? Why is it not working? Hang on. Oh, it helps if you plug it in if you want it to work. You know. Okay. So if you want to make a dragon with a light up nose, who doesn't want to make a dragon with a light up nose, right? If all of a sudden you can move from we're going to make circuits, who wants to do that, to we are going to make dragons, we are going to make flowers, and we are going to make trains, it changes who wants to participate, right? You can also make bubble wrap dresses, you can make costumes for fancy dress, etc., that all light up using exactly the same technique. Two strips of tape. So you've got the table. Could you get it just so that it looks at the tape? So if I want...
So ask a question, Kirsten, that is in chat.
Yes.
So if you wanted to get more of these buck converters, how would you do so?
I'll do the sales pitch here. I have them available on TapeBlock.com. I don't think that I found them in Australia anywhere at the moment. You can import them directly from China. So TapeBlock.com has buck converters. We were originally using button cell batteries. So you'll see most of the stuff on TapeBlock.com has button cell batteries. They're evil. I've been trying to get rid of them and haven't come up with a good way. Found the buck converters and went, this actually solves the problem. It does mean that you need power banks, which takes a little bit more setting up. But once you've got them, if you've got a power bank, you can just keep recharging it. So actually, in terms of expense, it's pretty good.
Can I ask another question?
Yes, you can.
Can you sew the tape in with conductive thread?
Yes. So the tape, so this is a nickel copper fabric tape, and you can actually sew in and out. I'm not sure why you'd want to sew the conductive tape with conductive thread. You could actually sew the conductive tape with normal thread because you get the conducting from the tape.
I think it's more just as a connection.
Oh, yes, absolutely. To get a good connection, yes, you could sew it in. I'm going to show you a little. I'm very much guided today by what it is that's going to be most helpful to you. To me, the circuits get interesting once you actually get to doing things that are creative with them, as opposed to just, you've got the technique, right? That is it. And then it's just a matter of adding different things, making flowers. I have, this is going to be the year of murals for me. This is a polystyrene ball, cellophane, pom-poms, etc. And it makes a most beautiful flower that I'm going to make a mural. And what I want is everyone to make one, and then we're going to put it on a big wall on some, grassy kind of stuff. And that's just a foam ball with, like lots and lots of potential for this. I'm thinking, I'm working with Starlight Foundation. We're probably going to do a space themed something or other, so, some black material and make the planets or stars light up. When using the LEDs, I'm going, you've got a long side and a short side. The long side is a positive side. I pull that one down first. I then pull the short side down to straighten it and put a tiny little kink in the short leg. The only reason I do that is so that I know which is the long side and which is the short side. If I then get 3 of those and line them up on my tape, see, and if I get it right, they'll all light up. And if I get it wrong, they won't. Okay, so long side first, short side kink. All right. I can, if I do that on bubble wrap, I can then make a bracelet, a spaceship, anything, you know. I'm going to send Josh for some, can you grab some bubble wrap for me? Sure. Just down on the side, yep. Okay, oh, that one's not working. So 2 of them are working and 1 isn't. Oh, all I need to do is tape it down and all 3 will work. All right. You'll see there is a video for a bracelet online that uses this technique. One of the things we talk about is making a conductive sandwich. So having tape underneath and tape on top so that the components don't push into the foam or into the bubble wrap. As long as you have, if you make this sandwich, they're fantastic. And if you get something like bubble wrap diffuses light. So sometimes that can be really effective. So I've made a bubble wrap dress. It's on the TapeBlock website under the making section. And all it is, it's LEDs taped down exactly like this with bubble wrap over the top of them. And it diffuses the light and it looks kind of cool. Any questions?
So I had one here that I did also answer, but this one might be a good one to highlight. Would TapeBlocks work on a project like an interactive paper storybook that could light up a certain part or page?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so, and there's a couple of ways you could change the thing that lights up. If you actually had 3 sets of, there's lots of different ways you could do it. Okay, if you had 3 different sets of tape on the ground, making sure that they have enough distance between, you could move the banana plug or the clip between the different lines to make different ones light up. You can also have different things that got put down or picked up. So I had someone the other day I work with Wallara a lot, which is a disability organisation. We actually help run their STEAM program. They were actually using the TapeBlock as the switch to turn things on and off. The other thing you can do is conductivity tests. So you know that the switch that wasn't working very well before, I'm actually now going to take that off because otherwise it's going to be probably harder for you to see. This is a switch block. The switch block is, or button block or whatever, they all run this direction. They're the only ones that don't run. Every component runs across the block. Okay, so between the positive and negative line, because we're making parallel circuits. Okay, this one here is a switch blocks. What you need to do is there's a gap at the back and there's a gap at the front. And that's to make sure that the electricity has to go across the component. And whichever component that is. What that means is you can actually use that to check for conductivity. So yesterday someone put a ring on it to bridge the gap, or you can use a button, or you can use wood and it won't work. Do you know what I mean? So you can actually, you could put your spoon on it, or you could put the insulated here. We've got scissors, so you could actually put scissors across. Now this section of the scissors is going to be conductive. This section is not going to be. So they can run around and do conductivity tests on things. Just to show you that working. Yes.
So another question, has anyone had problems with safety with the LED pointy parts with children?
Yes. As in, yes and no. You know your kids. For some people, yes, that would be a problem. Same as the foam blocks. Look, these are kids' foam blocks. For some children, chewing on the foam would be an issue. The pointy bit on now there is, if you have trouble with the pointy bits of the blocks, email me. I can make you a plastic set out of 3D printing, or I can give you the modeling for making a 3D set where you can actually set the component into the plastic so that we get rid of that as a safety issue. It's too hard to do all the time.
I'm going to swap to the camera.
Okay. I'll get this working while, see, I can't do two things at once. And my desk gets messier and messier as we go. Okay. We have this block, we have this block. And first thing we do is check if it's working. It might actually be nicer for people if I just use a plain color so that it's not quite so flashy. Can people see the red light okay? Yep. Yep, okay. So we've got the red light working. This was our switch block. So if we wanted to turn that into a conductivity test, look, it can't go across the bridge at the moment because there's no way across. Oh, look, the scissors, the metal bit of the scissors is conductive. The plastic bit of the scissors isn't. So you can actually get kids testing different things if you want. There's lots and lots. TapeBlocks are a start. There are methods. And then from there, you can do lots of different things. It's your imagination. Come back to me and tell me what you've done. You know, we had one participant who was particularly interested in guitars. So we were testing the guitar string as whether it was conductive or not conductive. So the plastic strings aren't conductive, the metal strings are. Okay, other things we can do. I'll show you how to, Josh has just run away, and can I get to the chat? Let me have a look, chat. Did anyone have a question? You could even raise your hand and I better be careful what I say. I don't know whether Josh has enabled mics, I think. Did anyone have a question that they wanted to ask at all? Is everyone excited? That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that, you know, like, I'm hoping that you're excited by the idea of them. I want people to go, like, circuits is the best part of the curriculum, right? And that, you know, and we're going to write a story. So we're going to write a story about a TapeBlock character that we're going to make with a light up nose and big ears. And we're going to write a story, an instructional piece on how to, you know, your how to make a TapeBlock could be linked into your English curriculum. Me going, other things I have that I would like to show you. All right. The long tail LEDs, this is working. Yes. Okay. And you see the lights coming on. Okay. So this is using exactly the same technique, but with those long tail LEDs that I pointed out. So the LED that's attached to the long wire. And all we do is we have conductive tape going around and across the bottom and up. And then we have the long tail LEDs going across. So the person that was asking about the story with different sections lighting up, this would be one way to implement that quite easily. You just run, and it lets the kids put the LEDs wherever they want them. Just run the two strips down the side. Now, here I've got a tronic board, which we've made, but you can just do those 2 flaps and then attach your clips to them. So working exactly the same. This one side becomes your positive side, one side becomes your negative side. And yeah, you can do anything with that. It's very, very cool. And this is actually, so this is laser cut. It's a leave-in weaving loom. What I have is I actually have a board, like a piece of plastic down the side so that you keep the edges perfectly straight because people can't over tighten them. So it actually makes a beautifully woven piece because the edges are really straight. Josh, I've lost the micro bit. I buried the micro bit. I'm sure I had it here earlier. Oh, maybe. Yeah. D6. I told you. I knew I had a micro bit. Okay. So I'm not sure, I guess, if any of you actually use microbits, but I just wanted to kind of go, here is the versatility of what you can do. I'm going to rip these up because I think the table's getting really busy. So if you put those tape down on, a piece of cardboard or a laminated sheet or something, you could actually reuse. And the other thing you could do is actually put them on a laminated sheet in a thing and have a game, and people could move around and the things could light up as you move around. Heaps and heaps of different ideas that you could make. I keep making ideas. So this is a micro bit. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with it, but this would be a very, very common thing to use for STEM. With the TapeBlocks, what we can do, these banana plugs, okay, and a block, all we do is take the banana plug, cut it into, strip the ends and pop it underneath, and then we can actually attach these, just plug straight in because they're a 4mm banana plug. And then you can actually program the microbit to turn your TapeBlocks on and off. So you can do your drag and drop coding with it, or you can do other different types of coding as well, depending on what works for your clients, your students, your kids. I'm just going to check my my run sheet. Which one is misbehaving?
Sorry, bear with me.
That's okay. Just having a slight technical issue. Okay, cool. Sorry?
You can check that now. It's just this one's misbehaving.
Cool, no problem. Okay. So creative basics. So you can stack things. We went through that. You can make characters. We haven't made a character, but there's lots and lots and lots of characters on the website. So do have a look at the website. And there's trains. Okay, for people who get excited about trains, there's trains on the website. There's a couple of different ways of building them. There's now a microbit video, which I got up yesterday, which is exciting for me because I've been meaning to do it forever. There's the breadboard available. Bubble wrap, conductive play. I would like to, could we start the slides? I'm making it.
Yeah.
Okay, can we start the slides? Just there's a couple of things in the slides I'd like to point out in the slide deck. Are you able to move them from where you are, or do you need to stay there? Okay, cool. Okay, so part of the reason I'm telling you about the creativity is that I found that the purpose becomes super important to people engaging. So if students feel like they can make something that is worthwhile to them. A character with a light up nose, a train, a fan to keep them cool. You know, something that they can program to turn on and off. They're going to engage with it much more than if it's just like presented as we're going to do electronics and it's going to be really boring. Okay. Those physical skills. So I have a number of different types of TapeBlocks available. So what I presented here is kind of the base mode of them. We also have, I can connect big buttons to them, for example. If you've got children who are only able to press buttons, we've got versions of those. We've got, yeah, just a whole range of different ones. As I say, we've got the plastic ones now. They're still in prototype, which is why they're not kind of up on the website or anything. But I'm just looking at different ways of actually 3D printing so that you can put the LEDs in to get rid of the problem with any pointy bits and stuff like that. Okay, next slide. That was me going to. And next slide. That's the kit of them. Working with particular disabilities, there's a few things I'd just like to point out that can be helpful because I'm not sure who your participants are going to be. When you're working with blind participants, providing orientation to the block is really important. So, you know, having a top, you know, the long side that's flat is the top. The short, there's 2 short ends and there's 4 short, you know, short sides. So actually providing orientation to the block can make a lot of difference to blind people being able to make the blocks independently, and also pointing out that, you know, that the wires are not covered. Sorry, wires are covered in plastic except for the very end. So make sure that when you're taping them down, you actually tape the ends, because otherwise they will not have success. Next slide, please. We can use things like communication boards as well. So there was one group of participants that I was working with, or children who I was, and they use communication seats. So it's like, I want to add, you know, a block, you know, which color block and where about, you know, above or below, etc. So, and then they were using a big button to actually activate the TapeBlocks, providing as much independence as you can, meeting kids wherever they're at. Next slide. I think there's that's a thank you from the slides point of view. Did people have questions? I have a few places I can go from here. I can show you how to make a fan tape block. I can show you how to make a train, or I can show you how to make a character, or I can answer some questions. So do you want to drop the slides? I do want to say thank you to Google for sponsoring these events. These have existed for a few years, but I really want to get them out to teachers and people who are actually using them and able to use them. And Google provided the money to be able to send out the kits, which was amazing, because I think it's such a different experience actually being able to join in and build along, as opposed to just seeing someone do a demonstration, especially when that first light comes on or when you feel the vibration motor. Okay, we can now have a vote on which, is there any questions is the first.
Yes, there is.
Which is there a teaching guide? The teaching guide will be up. Okay, I have the teaching guide written, but I was scared of putting it up because I'm not a teacher. So yeah, I'm going to put it up, but I'm not a teacher. I've got lesson plans. I've got the curriculum mappings. I will put those up on the website under a section that's for teachers. And I'll also put some templates for some of the, like the dragon that I did, like the dragon shape, and the train, etc. I'll actually put some templates up for those things as well. It is all mapped to the Australian curriculum. But so I was speaking to someone at one of the workshops yesterday, and they were saying it's okay if I give you this much information, then you'll adjust it to what you need for your school and your student, because I wasn't quite sure how to deal with that. The other thing I've done is how to integrate it into different sections of the curriculum as well. You can use things like different shapes. So you can, you know, do some different mathematical shapes and things like that. You can make houses and roofs. You can make garages. You can make all sorts of different things with them as well. Was there another question?
So there is one request on how to make the fan, but there's also a question of how do you go about making the flower? Oh, how can we use the flower?
Okay. I'm wondering how I can, so it was, let's make a
So
fan.
two separate questions. So there was one of that someone wants to know how to make the fan.
Yep.
And there is also another question of can I ask how we can use the flower?
Okay, let's make the fan and let's use the flower. I'm just trying to think how to incorporate them in together.
You don't have to incorporate them together. It can be two separate things.
Okay. All right, the fan. Let's grab the fan out. All right, exactly the same technique as you have. So we have our fan motor, and I'm going, can you still see sort of, it's a little bit, it's getting dark. The main thing with the fan actually is when you're putting it together, don't push super hard. These are like, 4 mil, 5 mil fans. If you push really, really hard, they will break. Okay. I suggest putting the fan onto our little snowflake fan. It should fit really neatly. It won't move. Okay. So, but put the fan on before you do anything else. And the reason for that is if you put it into the block and then try to put the fan on, it just pushes it further into the block. Okay. So put the fan on first. Then we grab the 2 wires. And pull them up through. So I've got the wires up through my little snowflake fan. And that gives me something to hold on to as I push the whole thing into the blue block hole. So what I have is the blue block with the wire sticking out the top of the snowflake. And then what am I going to do? Take a guess. Put those 2 pieces of parallel tape around. All right. So we're going, now the fan is a little bit fiddly to make. Someone yesterday made comment that, oh, some of this is a bit fiddly. Yes, it is. So what I would suggest is make the bits with your students that are appropriate to make with your students and get some other students to make them the other bits for them. So if you've got students who doing the fan is going to be too fiddly, either you'll need to prepare them in advance or get some other students in the class to make the fans for people. So, so we have our 2 pieces of tape. We're just putting them all the way around. So one I've put all the way around. The other one I'm going to leave as a long bit. Okay. So again, the 2 different ways of making. We then just grab the wires, same as we did with the vibration motor. And this can be fiddly. Okay, here we go. And we pop the wire down. You have to pop it underneath the blade. This is probably the most fiddly one in terms of actually making it. Just make sure that your wire is underneath. Yeah, there we go, push it down. And the other one we'll make with a separate piece to show there's 2 different techniques. You can use your preferred technique. We just get a little tiny piece of, a 1 centimeter piece of tape. And we stick the wire down to the other one. This is when I'm regretting making a snowflake version. If you have 3D printers, I don't know if you have them available, you can make flowers, you can make gumboots, whatever you want to make. If kids are particularly into footballs, you could make, football symbols that turn around, etc. It doesn't matter, whatever. The way that I did it was just made lots of different size holes until I found one that went through the fan that I had. Oh, this has been painful today. It's not meant to be this painful. I think this print was a little bit rougher than, there we go. Okay. So using our second piece, so the 1 centimeter piece, we just stick that over the end of the bit that's conductive, and that's how we make the fan. Okay, so this is a 3D printed tape block. They're not available. You can print them for yourself. I can get you files if that's your preferred method. And is it you or is it me?
No, it's me.
I'm just going to check the fan works because is it you or is it me? It's you. Okay, so it works exactly the same. How cool is that? We're pretty excited. I'm excited. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use the flower on that tape block fan. This is probably one that depends on your student. You may need assistance. Me looking this one. Okay, I'm going to use a Cricut tool. You can use so I'm going to tip that direction. This is a Cricut tool. You could use a compass or anything else that it's just something that's relatively sharp to poke a hole. As I say, you might want to supervise that. You know your students. I don't. Adjust as required. I'm just going to pop a hole for this one reasonably close to the edge because the pieces of wire are actually quite a long way apart. Okay, so we take our flower. Okay, yeah, take our flower, pop one LED through each of the holes, and then bend the legs so that they fit into those two holes that are a long way out. Okay. Now, I 3D printed these, but there is no reason that you couldn't use buttons. They're the same shape as buttons. There's the fan going. There is the light going. So I have the fan and light going on the same. Fan one side, light and flower the other side. And you can make flower gardens and things like that with these as well. I was just trying to give you lots of different creative ideas of how to use different things. And there was, what was the other question? There was one more question. I'm going to, yeah.
Okay, there we go. So there was also one they'd love to know more about the houses.
Houses or garages. So these, the blocks that I've given you, I get custom cut because I use mostly the rectangle blocks. But you can get, everyone will have one in a different shape. So everyone's been given like one odd foam shape. You can actually get triangle foam shapes in your, standard foam kits, 100 pieces, different shapes. What you do is you just, the tape that we had on the ground before, if you make a shape that goes up, across and down the other side, I'm going, have I got enough blocks? Or garages and things like that. So you just run the tape up and over. So 2 pieces of tape over, for example, if we had, not one more block. I'm out of blocks. I can't believe I'm out of blocks. Me going, I could be cheeky and we could make it a narrow one. Okay. So you can start to stack them. Can you see how that would work, or do you want me to actually make one? So in fact, we could even do it by going, this is how versatile they are. We've got 1, 2, we need a third LED block. These are working. Now, what I'm going to do, so some of them you can stick together, some of them you can actually have separate and just, okay, that one works, that one works, that one works. If we put them straight in a line, they will work. if we put them, balance them on top of each other, if we hold it correctly, they'll work. And that is actually a lot like a garage. So, I've got 2 blocks. Hang on. I'll make a roof. So what I'm doing is, I'm just taping 2 blocks together. They're infinitely amazing. You can do lots of different things. You can do anything you want with them. So what I'm doing is making a roof. Out of 2 blocks combined, as I would often use like a triangle block to make the roof of a house. And those, I don't think I've got a video up of those yet, but I can put one up. Okay, so if we do, okay, if we do that, can you see that's actually working? Yep. So that would be a lot like a garage with the roof. But then what you can do is actually turn the lights inside so that the light comes on when you come home. Right. So the light is actually inside the garage that you could drive into. Okay. And this one, yeah. So lots and lots and lots of possibilities. Hopefully it's triggering your imagination for all the things that you want to do. Are there any other questions?
So it's not a question, but just one that you might want to piggyback off of. So Michelle also mentioned you could create a cardboard city and have the buildings light up as well.
And then get a bee-bot and drive through it, or a sphero. Yeah. And you know how we had the tape on the table with I'm looking at Josh. Could you grab the conductive journey? Could you grab the communication card for it as well? Cool. So much junk everywhere. This is what my workbench is like all the time. Josh has just gone to get one of the things that we did for students who, oh, that's beautiful. There was a set of students who were quite restricted in the movement. So what we did was we made a story, and then they had to select which material they thought would be conductive. And he's just gone to get that so we can show you that as well. Just 2 seconds. So there's, do have a look at the TapeBlock website. The box has the address on it, tapeblock.com. There's a QR code. There's lots and lots of videos of there and characters, fur characters. Fur characters are amazing. They look amazing. They're really, really easy to make. Some kids hate them because of the tactileness of them. Others absolutely love them. So again, it's, you know, your kids, you know who you're working with. Some of them will work, it will work. Some of them won't. Now, okay.
That one's probably a better one to show the front of, and then this one can show them.
Okay, oh, get rid of that one. Me going. All right. Can you see, can you nod if you can see kind of what you're meant to be seeing, which is a board with a little character. Can you see my character? Excellent. Okay, this is James. James is going on a conductive journey, right? And the circuit goes from one side of James all the way down through the doors and around the board. We have a connector here, which has got a magnet in it. And we have a washer that's taped down. So the magnet will actually stick to the washer, right? So the magnet, so it's which door would you like to go through, the wooden door or the metal door? Okay, is it the wooden door that you think will light up, will let James continue on his journey? Or is it the metal door that will let James continue on his journey? Someone's going to have a guess. Anyone? Write it in the chat. Which one are we going through? What are we going? Metal? That's what I can see. Okay, let's go through the metal door. Oh, look, James is so happy he lit up and he can continue on his journey. We took this out to a school and we had someone who was a child who was absolutely convinced that wood was conductive. Don't know why. It was a very stuck kind of belief. And we had about 6 of these different stories. So you could go through the wooden forest or the metal forest. You could go through the metal city or the paper city. Anyway, that sort of thing. So it was a kind of a more interesting way of introducing different conductive concepts. And when we were showing the kids, we were using these cards. And it was, is James going through the wooden door or is he going through the metal door? Which one? You're not allowed to, not both at the same time. Yeah, that one, because I'll be right, whichever one I say. It's like this one or this one. So really, really getting the kids to make that choice. And if he doesn't make it through the door, he knocked on the door. It didn't open. Let's try the other one. What's the other one made of? Metal. Okay, now it might open, etc. So again, working in schools, I actually got some university students in a maker class to actually help make the dioramas. There's lots of interesting things you can do with dioramas in terms of just taping down different things and getting one section to light up and another section to light up, etc. As I say, you could make a game board where as you move around the game board, different bits light up or the characters move up as only when they sit on the final square and they win or whatever. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of different ideas. So anything you do, hey, send me back a photo. I really love it when I see stuff that people have done. Any other questions?
We do have another question. Is there a length where the conductive tape will reach or stop working?
I haven't hit it yet. That doesn't mean no. That just means I haven't hit it yet. The tape that you got is 30 meters. It has a 1 ohm resistance, I believe, compared to, so around here you get like 1 ohm resistance, which is very minimum. I've been trying to do some stuff with conductive 3D printing that has like a 1000 ohm resistance. So it doesn't go anywhere. It's like working on it. But the tape, yeah, look, you can go multiple meters. You will get drop off. I don't know what that distance is. I know I was sewing a space galaxy and with conductive thread and I was finding over a meter, it was actually dropping off where this doesn't drop off over a meter. So it could be you need to go away and let me, you're going to have to email me the answer to that, see how many blocks you can put together or, what you can do and see how far you can actually go.
So there's another one here. Any experience with how sticky the tape stays in high humidity environments?
No, let me know. The tape is actually pretty good. And I have TapeBlocks that I've had for 5 years now that still work. Most people, when they're doing their circuit making with like grade 5, 6, will use conductive tape. A lot of people use it. Hate conductive tape, copper tape. Copper tape just drives me nuts because it's like sometimes it's conductive, sometimes it's not, and that makes it. Is there something wrong with what I've done, or is it that the copper tape is like dodgy again? I haven't had any issues with the tape. It's actually electromagnetic shielding tape. It's the same tape that is in your phone to stop electrical interference within the phone. So that's it's actually a repurpose on something that exists in the world. Any other questions?
It's not a question, but it's a comment from Michelle, loving the idea of the conductivity quest, the choosing your pathway. So such interactive aspect of choosing doors and discovering which path leads to conductivity.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you could also have a treasure map where you take 5 items with you and you have to put different ones down at different points or something like that, which you could do with either length, work out you have to put the longest one here and the shortest one here so that they all fit, or in certain places, it doesn't matter if it's conductive or not. In other places, it does matter if it's conductive. Lots of just heaps of different ideas of it really is like the idea is really simple. It's then what you do with it to make it interesting and fun and meaningful. That's really exciting. Any other questions, comments, etc.? No. Yep. The website looks good. Yeah, good. That has taken me so long to do. And excuse, some of the videos are better than others. I started this in 2020, in my house. I don't know that the videos have actually got any better, and I hate doing voiceovers, so it's not my fault. Okay. I find them really, really hard to kind of make them sound natural. And I've tried to keep the videos, some videos, it takes a long time to do the taping. Tried to keep the videos relatively short so that you can actually sit and watch them, because who wants to watch you doing, too much taping kind of thing. So happy to take feedback on, improving those or anything that would be useful to you as you do them. Anything else?
So there was not comments, not questions, but comments. So such an inspiring, generous and exciting project. Thank you. There was also, thank you. This was interesting and fun. I can see how TapeBlocks can be used for students I work with.
Excellent. And that's what I'm really hoping that and that was part of this, was actually getting them out to the people that use them. The biggest favor you can do for me is go and show them to 3 other people. Do you know what I mean? Show them to other teachers, show them to other people with disabilities, because it's really an idea that I want to share. I originally thought that if I put TapeBlocks out, just put up videos, they'd get well known. But what I discovered is people don't like buying random electronic components. I don't understand. I do it all the time. So, the kits are really about putting kits together where you've got the components. They're pretty good components. No electronic components are going to be perfect. When you buy a kit, I have kits for sale. There will be 2 vibration motors because one of them may not work. Okay, so please don't call warranty on you are sold 1 vibration motor and you get a second spare just in case the first one didn't work. Electronics is like that. But I really wanted to make it so that people who can use them get to use them. And that was the idea of actually, they were too good to sit in an academic paper. I have 20 citations on my paper. I have 13,000 YouTube views. It just says there's a place for them in the community, not necessarily in academia.
There is a question here around how can the longer LEDs be used? The longer LEDs, all you need to do is do whatever creative thing you can at the top with things including bubble wrap, cellophane. On the website is actually how to make some flowers. There's 4 different flowers that I show you how to make with the long LED. This is what was used in the weaving. In order to use them, you could basically just attach the red and black wires to your buck converter, or you can tape it down to one of your blocks and the light will come on. So there's nothing, it just gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of how you arrange things. So I should be able to go, that's the red one. Okay, is that showing up? Where am I? Yes, okay. Probably move it closer to this one though. This one's...
I've got so much crap on my desk. It's awesome. All right. So that comes on. So I often make like flowers or weaving, or if you want to put, so one thing that Willara did, was they had photos of the city skyline, and then they would put holes in the picture and then poke the LEDs on the long ones through, and then you had a skyline that actually had lights along it. Yeah, however you want to. It just gives you a bit more reach. That's all, without and you can weave them and things like that. So for some people, working with yarn is really nice. So actually, for some older participants that I work with, they feel confident weaving. Knitting. So weaving is sort of something that they enjoy. So that was where the weaving activity actually came from originally. And it is 6 o'clock. I want to thank you very much for coming. I want to thank Maduka, who was in the breakout room. Thank you very much. And I will go and speak to her as to how many people went and visited. I want to thank, marketing at Monash has just been amazing in terms of getting the message out there to people. And if you heard about this through someone and you enjoyed it, thank them for telling you to come to it as well. As I say, they're really about getting the message out. Thanks to Google, thanks to Josh. Big round of applause for Josh. Here's my wingman. Love working with him because he's just technically really awesome and nice to me when I'm really forgetful and he has to run around all over the place. Thank you, Josh.
Not a problem.
And there's a couple of email addresses. There's info@tapeblock.com is me. There's stuff available on the website. If you're in Australia and you put in TapeBlock workshop, free shipping to get some more supplies out to you if you need it, and that would be useful. TapeBlock workshop, capital W for the workshop.
It's all good. It just don't close the breakout rooms.
And that's it. Thank you very much for coming today. It was wonderful. And please, we will send out a survey. I was meant to ask you to do the one that, of course, you've all done before.
You did ask. It's all good.
I did ask. Good. I don't remember. If we'll send out another survey, could you please fill in that and tell us where you're at with how confident you feel and how excited you feel about circuits now. And also let us know if there's other things that you're like, please solve this for me. I build tools. That's what I do. I build technology tools. I solve problems. So if there's a particular thing, it's like, oh, we really struggle to teach this particular aspect, happy to have a go at it. And in a few months' time, we'll actually send you the survey again and go, hey, have you actually used it with your students? Thank you very much for coming.